All right. It says that we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode where we are demystifying human design with Danny Guru. This is part 2 in the whole series that we are doing. So today we're going to be talking about the Neutrino Ocean and also how it impacts our imprinting. And I'm going to let Danny Guru definitely dive into what all those terms mean. Welcome back again, Danny, for another show.
Jennifer, it is just such a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for the impact. So the Neutrino Ocean, this is demystifying human design. It has mystical roots, obviously, because it incorporates the I Ching and astrology and all these things, but it is no longer any of that stuff. Once it's come together in a synthesis of your body graph. We showed that last week, all the red and black lines, how they come together. Well, how do we determine which red and black lines a person has? It's determined through this subatomic particle that is called the neutrino. So we're smart enough. We've measured a lot of things in space. We have this space agency called NASA. It's got lots of information, including where all the planets are exactly. That then tells us how this amazing amount of energy that's pouring off of all the stars around us, including our sun and Jupiter, and from all around, there's a neutrino ocean. We live in it. It's pouring through us 3 billion per second per square inch all the time. It never stops. Our genome receives this information at birth. It's pouring through us all the time, but at birth, the genome says, oh, time to pick up our imprinting. And our imprinting is determined by where we are when we are there. So where and when we are at birth.
Can you explain really quick what exactly the genome is? And
so our genetic material, it's our genes. There's 64 codons on this planet, and codons synthesize for the material that ultimately make the genes and the chromosomes that we rely, right, as humans, as any living form, we rely on it constantly replicating itself, right? Constantly, so that Jen can stay Jen for Jen's whole life, and I can stay me for my whole life. So that genome is very smart. We don't know the depths of its intelligence, and it can't speak for itself, so we have to give it words. And that's why we use this process of keynoting, where the same words repeat. That keynoting is picked up from, literally, it's described and taken right out of what it's doing to us that then bubbles up to the surface. Our genome is building us all the time. It should be no surprise that at birth, it does lots of things. One of them is it says, oh, I'm out in the world. Okay, what's my imprinting? Right now, what is imprinting upon me? Pouring, in this case, it's what's pouring through 3 billion per square inch per second, every second of every person, of every square inch on this planet. And that's the neutrino. So most people are familiar with the term of subatomic particles. These are things that go right through atomic material. So these neutrinos pour right through the atoms of our Earth, right through the planets, and they keep going at near the speed of light. Anyone can look this up. It's the neutrino is about the size of a quark. We've heard of quarks and dark matter and dark energy and all of these things. The neutrino is just another subatomic particle that happens to move slightly slower than the speed of light because it has mass. Only pure energy moves at the speed of light. If it's got mass, it starts to slow down.
Yes.
That's why our densities, the denser we are, the more mass we have. So we can never quite get to the speed of light. And that's how we proved that the neutrino exists. It wouldn't quite go at the speed of light. And they figured that out in a super collider somewhere in the Andes Mountains, I believe, in '99. And ever since then, we've been working with that. I forget what mountain range. It might have even been in Spain. Regardless, these things are about 1/1,000,000th the size of a proton. So when they approach atomic material like us, our Earth, anything that's atomic, basically, that has mass, it pours right through. It sees it as empty space. The distance between an electron and the neutron in the nucleus in the center is so vast to a neutrino, it just pours right through. It's as if there's nothing there because it's so small. It's everything around it is so big. So as this stuff pours through, it is material in nature, it has mass. It's very light, but it is material. And there's so much pouring through that our genome says, what is this washing through? Oh, it means I'm turned on this way. It doesn't turn on the genes and turn them off as it relates to that they function. All 64 codons in our body are functioning or we'd be dead. It turns on which ones get an imprinting that differentiate our way through this life. That's the mystical part. Hey, what the hell? So, you're fortune teller, you're telling me my way through life. No, we're keynoting how your genome is. And when you see it expressed in your life, quit being surprised. You're always that way.
I love how you're saying it's like breaking down to the science. And
yes.
That's why I love it.
Yeah. And so we need to know and see, well, what the hell is this? So can you pull up the first one, which should be a 16-second little video. I just went onto NASA's website.
Oh, let me see. I didn't see a video come through.
On that email I just sent?
Yes, but if you have it up on your computer, well, I don't know if you do.
I don't. I did it on my phone.
Okay. Let me see real quick. I did not see.
Can I try to text it to you?
Yes, I can probably.
Might not have gone through on the email.
But it may not have. Sometimes it kicks it back. Yeah, I did not get a video. I got 3 pictures.
I'm gonna text it to you right now, Jamie. And
thanks, guys, for hanging in there. Just give me a moment, and I will definitely.
I just sent that to you. I texted it this time. I might not be the most convenient for you, but
okay, I'll transfer it.
While you're doing that, I'll keep talking a little bit. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. So, as this stuff pours through us, guys, it's what's picking up the differentiation is the intelligence of our genetic material, which is constantly rebuilding us. If you think about that, like just matter impacting us, because it's so much matter pouring through, our genome can't really decipher it until it is finally separate from its mother. That's why we have that exact moment of birth, because that's the exact moment of your final imprinting.
That's okay. Okay.
Yep.
That's why charts are done. That's why it's
important
to get the accuracy of your birth, the time, where you're born, and everything like that.
If you don't know, don't be totally bummed. Ask around your family. Ask prying questions like, hey, was it dark or was it nighttime? Was it before dinner? Was mom or dad at work? Maybe during the day? You ask probing questions to get your mom or dad or someone to suddenly narrow it down for you, unless it's written on a birth certificate. Or mom wrote it down. Some parents, keep a journal.
I'll see how this turns out. If it came off of NASA, I preferably would like the link, because my phone does not do videos well, so it decompresses it, and I think
we'll just go with the slides. The slides will work.
I've got it up.
The 3 slides. Okay, so pull up any one of them, because it doesn't matter what order we go in. We're just going to show the movement.
Okay.
Just be able, whichever one you pull, just be able to go through the other 2. Does that expand out anymore?
No, no. I need links. I can't, the video.
My bad.
I had to, yeah. So this is what we got to work with at the moment.
Okay. Well, it's moving. You've got, that looks like the video.
Yes, it is. But I can't blow it up.
Okay, that's fine. So play the video one more time. Everyone squint at your screen. Sorry, we'll get this better next time. See how these planets are moving? I'm specifically tilting the field so you can see the Saturn, the sun, the Earth, all of this stuff, and the Earth is sort of there close to the sun. You can let it stop right there. At each moment that these planets are moving, the star field around us is literally, can you pull up one of the pictures that that become stationary? Those might be bigger.
Oh, there. Can you see that?
Yeah, it didn't change screen.
Okay, hold on.
There she blows. So this is just a snapshot from where some of those planets were. Look at the sun is in the center. So neutrino is the breath of a star. Stars have been pouring this stuff out into our universe the whole time.
We are made of star stuff.
We are made of star stuff. And so there's the mystical part. We're made of stardust. That seems mystical. But you and I are talking here on a live link. That doesn't seem so mystical anymore. So just stipulate, we're made of star stuff. And the sun is our primary source of neutrino information. That's why the sun Earth on a body graph gives us, 70% of who we are. So as we are on Earth somewhere, Earth is way outside. See that on the far left? That means everything, just look at this right and left. Don't worry about orientation within the cosmos itself. I'm just going to go with right and left. It's very unscientific in a way, but whatever. Everything on the right of this picture, the entire universe to the right, which is the rest of the universe to the right, is pouring its neutrino information in through us. So there's Neptune on the far right. So as that neutrino information pours through Neptune on its way to Earth, to where you happen to be at the time of your birth, it is colored by Neptune. Neptune's a certain size, it's made of a certain amount of mass, it's mostly a gas giant, and that neutrino stream is colored by Neptune. Look at it like communication. A red car hits a white car, some red paint gets on the white car, some white paint gets on the red car. That's called communication. So it's no different as these, trillions of neutrino pieces of matter are pouring through Neptune. It communicates with Neptune ever so slightly. Neptune colors it, and a few seconds later, it gets to us. So at the time of our birth, what got to us from Neptune looks that way because it came in at that angle from Neptune at that time. Same thing with Venus. Venus is actually interrupting a little bit of the sun because it's close to it. Mercury will be interrupting the nodes of the moon. Jupiter on the far right. I can't get all the planets in on one shot.
Yeah.
On the far right will be interrupting the neutrino stream, again, coming from that side of the solar system. To the left of Earth will be some other things, probably Pluto's out there. What I'm getting at is we're being poured in on at all times, constantly being poured in on by these subatomic particles that our genome picks up as its differentiation. So wherever you are on Earth, Neptune did that exact thing from that location to you. As soon as Neptune shifts a little bit, it's now doing something different. So as Neptune moves, it does a little bit different. As it moves, it does a little bit. As we move, we catch it a little bit differently. That's the coloring. Move to another slide. Any other slide.
This is another slide.
Yeah, this is a good one. See, Saturn showed up. Jupiter's in a totally different spot. Venus and Mercury are both showing up here. I don't know where Neptune went on this picture. It doesn't matter.
Yep, I don't see Neptune on this
It doesn't
picture.
matter because wherever it is, it's now in a different location. So it's coloring the different neutrino feed coming from a different solar system, a different star field, a different galaxy from somewhere else in our own galaxy. It's picking it up differently. The neutrinos are about the same size, but they're pouring out differently. The sun spits out a different amount in a different way than will a different star. And last time I checked, we're surrounded by stars, trillions and trillions of them.
Absolutely, all around us.
All around us. So, and we're stuck in this nice little solar cell in the center. It acts very much like a cell, by the way, a cell in a human body.
And it looks like a cell too.
It does look like a cell. Well, in a large cosmic scheme.
As above, so below.
Yes. When you look out larger and more cosmically, it's doing what a cell does. It literally, just like in our body, we mirror that which is outside of us. It mirrors us. It should be back to there is no difference between us and it. We are it. It is us. And that's why, we all are one. So all these plants are in a different spot. The Earth has changed. So now the Earth is picking up a different form of differentiation than it was, on the last slide. It could have been days apart or months. I didn't check the time. And then the Earth is spun on its axis by now. It's changed its rotation. It's changed its tilt towards the sun. All of that affects how that neutrino is going to pour through the planet. Let's say you're born on the left side of Earth at this point in time. Well, now the sun's neutrino field is pouring through Earth to get to you. That's different than if you were born on the side that's facing the sun. Again, it's to the neutrino, it's a slight difference. To the genome, it's a very slight difference, but it picks it up. Yeah. It says, oh, that's different. Now I'm different. And if you can get back to go to the next slide. Totally different. Now we're on a different side of the sun. Jupiter showed back up. There's Neptune way up there. So whatever's coming in from way up there is now colored differently by Neptune, because look, the sun's in the way of Neptune and Earth.
Yes.
A little bit. I mean, it is. And each time it's that coloring is slightly different. We haven't been able to get specific enough to know what some of the inside specs are doing. You know, DART, what is the, you know, the solar probes, Eros, you know, what happens when Halley's Comet or Hale-Bopp comes flying through, you know, undoubtedly they make slight differences. We haven't been able to measure them yet. So chances are in the future, we'll be able to get detailed even beyond what we are now, as if we need any more. It'll be for the scientists to have fun with. We here on the surface, Jen, you and I can simply recognize our differentiation and start acting out our way and stop trying to be what we are not.
Yes.
Is it possible, one more time, to just pull up any blank body graph or any person's body? Any body graph will do.
I think so. Hold on.
Yep.
Can you see that?
Nope.
Or you still see?
It's still seeing the picture.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's see. Is this okay?
Love it. This
Okay.
looks like a just now chart. Was this what we had from before? Or just...
Yes, this was from before.
Okay, cool. So we have our 64 codons. They're all the numbers inside of here. I would have showed you the wheel last time to show you how all that's happening. And so at the time of your birth, wherever all these planets on the right and on the left are, well, this one will just go on the right, they're on both sides. This makes your differentiation. So
these, correct?
Yep. So wherever these planets in the nodes, where the moon was in this spot where it was shining through what would be gate 56 on the wheel, and that imprinted on you, gate 56, line 4. So that this human being born at this time has that as a drive in them. They're driven to externalize stimulating stuff and tell stories, the storyteller. This person is driven to be a storyteller. So when they grow up, they're going to tell their parents fantastic stories. They're just going to come pouring out of them. They can't help it. And if their mom and dad says, don't just tell me stories, they're conditioning their child to be who they're not. The real thing for that kid would be, oh, honey, these are just fantastic stories. Now, if you're burnt out as a mother, you just say, oh, but I'm not in the mood for the story right now, honey. And that's got to be okay. Okay. So the kid never got told to stop telling it stories. Mom may have been frazzled and said, I can't do it right now, honey. We'll do it later. But the kid didn't get stopped and doesn't think its story is bad. Like in the first example, don't just tell me stories. Actually, kid, tell me stories, because that's how your truth is coming out.
I love how you're saying that, because this is where the shift is going to happen when parents start to realize this.
Yes.
You know, understanding how it is with their children,
yes.
So that they can better navigate
Yes.
and help them instead of shutting them down. Where this is where we're having that transition on the planet, because a lot of us are breaking out of that conditioning we had on our from our parents.
Yep. And from all the authority, from the cop, from the school, from the teachers, from our friends' parents. There's no short, from advertising. God, that hasn't done a number on us. I don't know what has.
Yes.
So the parents, and the reason we try to get to the kids overall is for a couple of very basic reasons. It's not just they will better navigate. That's absolutely true. Secondly, they won't lose track of who they are in their navigation. That's where we go wrong. We lose track of who we are, specifically. So the kid that got told not to tell so many stories, now as he's navigating the planet later in life, he thinks that he's not supposed to tell so many stories. So he's going to attract people that expect him to not tell stories. And he's stuck in a life where he tells less stories. That's no good for this being.
Even though his soul is telling him that he needs to tell stories. So he loses who he is in the process and gets stuck in that confusion.
Right, right, right. And then
Always yearning, or something in his soul is
right,
saying,
right.
say this story, but the conditioning in the program has told
Yes.
him no. So then he loses essentially who he is. Man, how does that sound familiar about what's going on in our collective?
Oh my God, it's so familiar. Well, we live on a not self planet. The planet is not yet accustomed to this knowledge. I can tell you we've grown. I can see the growth. We're now in a third generation of human design. The first generation got burnt out ish. I'm not saying they're not there. They're totally there. They just, they came up against nothing but resistance. I mean, someone looking at this for the first time on the planet probably called bullshit.
Yes.
You're in a cult or something,
Well, yes.
or who knows what, whatever the resistance the first readers would have had. The second generation, I'm essentially part of that second generation. We ran into resistance, and now there's a third generation coming up that where this knowledge is in the world, there's less resistance to it. We're making headway.
And that's why I said in the last episode that I was seeing it more and more come up.
Yep.
About it. And I love how we're demystifying it and speaking about things on a subatomic level and how it
Yep.
impacts us as a person.
Yep. Now we have no choice in any of this. That's the beauty of it. When we realize our choicelessness, this being can realize it's not here searching for love and direction. It is love and direction, and it's got nothing to prove. Nothing. And it can realize it's supposed to go fast, and that it loves to listen when it's in the mood. All kinds of things I can tell this parent about this child born right now as they start to grow up. I can point out all the arrows on the top of the head center point to the left. This child is incredibly active, strategic, focused. It's going to focus in on one thing. It stays focused. So when that child won't focus on something else, understand it's a limitation of this child. Sometimes you can't make this kid focus on what you want. Okay, work with that. You may still, as a parent, need to make them focus on something because of something that's they need to know, because of education, all kinds of stuff. But regardless, at least you can know that they're not in trouble, so that they can know they're not in trouble. And if you can't get them to focus, don't beat on them. It's not going to help. And wailing on them is physical, it's mental, it's verbal, it's just in your mood. You love your kid, but your mood is just demonstrating the aggravation. If you know they're helpless, you yourself as a parent will be less aggravated. Again, it doesn't mean that the stuff will stop happening. It means how you look at it will suddenly become, oh my God. And now that child, when they go out into the world navigating, they will keep telling stories, and the people who aren't right for them, who don't want to hear it, will navigate away. And the people who are right for this child at 12 and then at 15 and then at 20 will navigate into them.
What just came in when you said that was because, and I don't think we touched on it when you had mentioned attracting the people that would tell him not to tell a story.
Yeah.
That is because the law of attraction, guys, the universe, you're going to attract what vibration is imprinted. So if this child's parents shut him down from telling stories, the universe is going to constantly bring you those people so that you learn to overcome. So you kind of have that awakening because you are a storyteller.
Right. This child tells its truth. This adult will tell its truth very much through hyperbole. Not always. It's not the only thing. We're looking at a holistic body graph here. So he will tell his truth in many ways. One of them will be through hyperbole and storytelling and parable, a Bible verse type thing, all of it. Bible has lots of great stories. It's great stories in everything. Mark Twain had great stories, So this kid will constantly, like you said, the law of attraction, his body graph and his body imprinting will keep attracting the folks that will listen to a story. All this person has to do is start allowing those people and keep telling his stories so that the people that don't want to hear it navigate away. And then at 5 years old, that kid could have understood, oh, it's not personal if the others don't want to hear a story. At that moment, it's not personal. It's not their fault. They just maybe don't want to hear it. That's okay. It doesn't mean don't tell it. It doesn't mean stuff it. It doesn't mean think that you're bad or concern yourself that your value isn't high enough to be worthy of telling the story.
Yeah.
And now that 5-year-old could totally incorporate that into their, into their way without a big chip on their shoulder. But as an adult, there's a big chip on their shoulder. Everyone always shuts me up. No, they don't. You shut you up, and it's not your fault. You were conditioned that way. So that's what's happening here. Do you have a picture of the wheel to round out this whole, how each one of these points you see colored in is what's differentiated on you, and all the stuff isn't?
I do have a picture of the wheel. Let me get that.
There we go.
Ooh.
So there's no star field around this wheel, but this wheel's fixed. And so it doesn't show where the planets are around the wheel, but the planets are ripping around this. This wheel is where you are on the planet Earth at the time of your birth. Just picture this wheel hovering over the top. So let's say Mercury is off to the right. Okay, well, off to the right, there's a lot of gates. Let's say it's gate 1, the yellow gate on the sort of top right. In gate 1, this person is going to be imprinted with an inspiration that can exist with no limitation. None whatsoever. This person can be inspired beyond limitation until they try to do it with their ego. My ego determines I will be inspired. And if it's in Mercury is the planet that helps drive how we'll communicate. So it's communication.
I was going to ask that after this on how the planets, depending on what planet it is, how that impacts on the level.
There's a keynote for each planet. I can send it for the next one, and we can see what they're all doing to us.
That's a whole episode in itself. So
well, absolutely, but what? So again, gate 1 on the top right, it's in yellow. There it is, and so Mercury is there. Mercury's imprinting will come through and put it on gate 1, which happens to be on the top of the G center in this picture, the yellow diamond in the center. That's where this child will be marked, struck different. Yep, and that's because it poured through this wheel, which was in this sign. That means it belongs in that spot in the body graph. Ergo, this wheel is a transfer system. How is the neutrino ocean affecting us as it transfers? Well, if you have a hexagram on the outside and the wheel on the inside, you got point A and point B. It's a simple matter of Pythagorean's theorem, solving for point C. If you have A and B, you can solve for C. It's basic math. And so it's a triangulation, essentially. This is a transfer system. That's why the wheel is set up to be fanned out around a circle. That's why all these hexagrams are fanned out around the inner circle, which is the zodiac signs, the signs of our astrology.
Yeah.
So wherever these planets are, on the left, on the right, above, below, it doesn't matter. Your genome knows that it's being imprinted differently. And we now know what that imprint is using this simple transfer system.
Yeah.
Very logical. This demystifies it. Oh, it's a transfer. If you got 2 points in space, you can find the next point. If you got 2 fixed points, you can draw a line and find the next point, period. And anyone, we know that now because we're such smart little creatures. So that's this wheel. That's how we're being imprinted. Wherever the sun is, wherever all of the planets you saw on that body graph from before are, they are going through different hexagrams. That hexagram has a keynote. That keynote gets transferred through the sign into the body graph, and it is fixed in place until that being has lived out their entire process.
That's I'm having so many awakenings at the moment. My mind's a little blown right now.
Yeah, it happens.
It's well, yeah, the way that I see it, because and psychically in my third eye, I can see the matrix and how it's like a code. This is literally a coding system, like you said. If
Literally.
you want a specific person, a Jennifer or Dan, it's okay, we're going to fix it in these plans. Oh, the planets are coming around this time. It's going to be the perfect code for this person to spit out that whatever it is that needs to be created.
That's correct. That's
and
correct.
and on a subatomic level, guys, it's our atoms that are creating this matrix.
Right. They create
that is being impacted by the planets and the stars and how everything is rotating above us.
We're all vibrating and we're all moving in space. You and I are moving, you know, at 400,000 kilometers per second through space, or per minute through space. We're rotating at 24,000 miles an hour. We're moving, and all atomic material is vibrating. So there's a frequency. And what this is really pointing out is, back over the millennia, those I Ching people, they were onto something. The astrology guys, they knew they were correct. They knew that we went through difference as we rotated, as we moved. And now that we're so sophisticated and can measure that movement down to, you know, a meter, we know where Mars is within a meter or two. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty stunning. And so with all that sophistication, we can now draw these lines because we have the measurements. That's what we were missing. We're missing the ability to accurately measure. And that's why astrology had to stop at groupings. Look at one sign is a grouping of several hexagrams. But if you are into reading astrology and you understand astrology, first of all, you're ahead of me. I don't know how to read astrology. I confess, I really don't. What I do know is that as you see the descriptions of these gates in each astrology sign, you will start to see the meaning of that sign. And that's what our astrologers were picking up. They were sensing their own internal differentiation.
Yes.
And when enough of them came together to basically discuss astrology, they were able to triangulate through their own language this meaning. But notice the gross triangulation. They could only get to these pieces of a pie, 12 of them, I think, right? So they could really only get to a 12th. Now we can get down to the 64th, I guess, is a way to look at it.
Yes.
That'd be a great way to look at it. It's just, again, simple math. So our accuracy went up in time, and we were actually able to get down to each line within a hexagram. See how each hexagram has 6 lines in it?
Yes. So guys, you're talking about the I Ching, correct? When you say hexagram, that's exactly what he's talking about, guys, is these. And if you've never, I'm not really an astrologer. I study it, so I don't have a full understanding of it, but I have a pretty good understanding. It literally breaks it down. So please correct me if I'm wrong, so whoever's watching this can understand. This is your astrology signs.
Yep.
These are basically your chromosomes, like it's the 64.
Yep, 64 codons. The codons they synthesize the genetic material that then makes up our genome and ultimately our chromosomes.
Okay, and this is what did you? It was not the keynote. You said you had another word for these earlier that's slipping my mind, but this is the I Ching.
Yeah, the hexagrams of the I Ching.
The hexagrams, that's what it is.
Yep. So any one hexagram, notice they all have 6 lines in them. As we are moving, they move through each line and then they move into the next hexagram. It's counterclockwise. So look at gate 1 and the very bottom line. So if you're born at a certain time in that day, it'll have moved through that line. And it'll move into the second line right above it. They each have a different.
Okay.
And they each have a different delineation of the keynoting stuff that we can say. The first lines are always introspective, investigating. The second lines are naturals, just waiting. The third lines are martyrs that bump into stuff, trial and error. They're mutative. They're always sustaining. The fourth line just wants to hop onto a foundation that the first line made and externalize their truth. They just want to talk. So on and on, that's how it goes. And so as it goes up through number 1, and it goes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on gate 1, as soon as it comes to gate 6, it's got no place to go. It goes back to number 1 of gate 43, the next hexagram in line. Look at it like a sewing needle through fabric. It sews up through the hexagram and then goes back down into the next one, sews up. So it's sewing.
That's a great way to put that.
Yeah, it's sowing the seeds of humanity.
Yes.
Sowing our seeds.
Oh my gosh, I just had okay. I now know why I understand this. why I can wrap my head around it. I'm having downloads at the moment. My crown is tingling.
Tingling, me too. Right through
But
my
when
throat.
you said sewing,
Sorry.
that yes, yes. So I resonate a lot with Clotho in Greek mythology, and Clotho is the weaver.
No way. And
Yes,
here we are weaving.
yes,
Mm.
yes, yes.
We're weaving this knowledge into the people listening right now. Next time, hopefully someone wants to call in so we can tell them some stuff.
Well, yes, yeah, I totally. We're going to open it up for
Let's
more for
pick an
questions.
astrology sign on here just to make the example. Pick one that you're maybe familiar with a little bit.
Pisces, because I'm a Pisces.
Okay, which one is Pisces? Can you point to the symbol that is Pisces?
I'm trying to.
Maybe it's the one on the far right, the MP. I gotta grab my phone.
No, why do I not see it? This is Gemini, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, and
Oh,
Aquarius. This right here is
so the
Pisces.
blue one, Pisces. Okay, so this is in the quarter of initiation. This is where life gets initiated. Pisces has gate, look at that gate, 55, 37, 63, 22. Is that right? It's got all of those gates, 1, 2, 3, yeah, all the way through to part of 25.
So
Pisces.
it would always, the Pisces will always rule this gate. Am I?
Well, it's not that Pisces rules the gate. It's that the descriptions of the gates are what people have been describing as what is a Pisces. So let me human design describe what is a Pisces. If that does look like the Pisces symbol. 55, the gate of the spirit of the self. The Piscean person is looking to usher in a new spirit in a way that will fulfill a community. Gate 37 and its friendliness and its emotional desire, emotional need to be sensitive to others in bonding and a community, and it's going to want to have a pressure that figures out formulas that keeps it all going. So Pisces are smart. They've always got a doubt pressure working, and Pisces are open to listening. Gate 22 is about listening. It's the human mutative way that will listen before it then spits back out its mutative way. And 36 is the crisis. So the spirit in the community going through the doubts that come up with the formulas that they can then listen to and speak back out. Well, time for a crisis, something new. The crisis just means something new. So Pisces always ushers in something new. And at the very end of Pisces, what it's ushered in, the newness it's ended up ushering in is the universal love of all things, gate 25, universal love. I love my pet rock as much as I might love something else.
Yes, yes.
It need not distinguish. So I don't know if that describes a Pisces. What do you describe to me? What is Pisces? And I'll try and fit them into these hexagrams. I'm hoping human design people and astrology people start talking more so that the synthesis can deepen.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to start this series with you, because I feel like human design adds that extra level of for people who are in astrology as well. So Pisces, typical signs of Pisces: they're compassionate, they're adaptable. Since they are the water sign, they're very fluent. They're mutable signs, so we can adapt to whatever situation we are in, like a chameleon. Devoted, imaginative, they can be oversensitive, indecisive, sometimes the
We'll stop right
self-pityness.
there. Gate 55 describes almost everything you just said.
Okay.
Sensitive. Gate 55 is sensitive. Gate 55 and 37 have to do with passion and sensitivity, the passion of sensitivity to things, to the approach of people. So the sensitivity is to the other.
Okay.
And the sensitivity wants to empower the other. And that openness, gate 22, it's in the channel of openness. That's its keynote in human design. It emotionally fires up the energy that will remain open until it's closed, of course. It doesn't mean it's always open. It is the human individual openness to the other. And it's a social channel. It wants to be social, or it wants to be antisocial. So I imagine a Pisces is sometimes social, sometimes antisocial.
Yes, we can both be introverts and extroverts.
And then along comes crisis and everything's exciting. So every once in a while, the Pisces is on fire in movement towards something it loves, that
Yes.
it would like to share with the other. So these gates and where they are and where they are in the circuitry is helping to describe what a Pisces is.
What about being intuitive? Because Pisces are highly intuitive. They're mystical. They are very spiritual, deep knowledge, hermetic principles sometimes.
Yep. Well, gate 37 in here is in the mystical channel, is in that whole mystical stream that literally
Okay.
takes us from approach all the way through the community, back to the individual and out to awakening. 37 is the glue that holds that together. It's very tribal. It's the tribal glue that holds it together. 49, which isn't in Pisces, no, 30, 55. Yeah, 37 would
Yeah,
be.
no, that's an Aquarius.
Yep, that holds that together. So,
Now I'm an Aquarius rising.
okay, well, Aquarius has part of gate 60, 41, 19, 13, 49, and 30.
Mm-hmm.
So part of 60 is the breaking of the limitation. So your rising helps break the limitation through its hunger. Gate 41, it's hunger for the new experience. Break the limitation so that I can have the new experience. What will I do with that? I will turn that into a resource and approach others with it. Gate 19, the gate of approach. So we're going to be sensitive to the approach of others and approach others sensitively with whatever resources we have.
They're
Usually
the humanitarians.
Yep, but very much. It's also the gate of the butcher. Not
Well,
1949 is. Well, because we
that's
have to be
funny.
fed.
Well, that's what Aquariuses are. So Aquariuses are the rule breakers. They're the rebels. They lead the way. They're the humanitarians but they're the independent ones. And I've also heard that Aquariuses, they can be one of the coldest signs in astrology because they are rebels. They don't give a shit, basically.
It's about a revolution.
Yes. Yeah.
Always looking to start or not the revolution. The practical aspects of do we need to revolt? And the revolt is always against an authority that stops it from being able to commune in a community mystically with the others.
Yep.
That's so,
Spot
you know,
on.
it's like our revolution right now. I mean, we're sick of being told we can't be ourselves. You know, be what the algorithm wants you to be, not yourself. Well, thank you. So all this stuff is what's in there. 49 is part of the mystical circuit as well. It brings together the bride and the groom in a way that becomes the union that supports the tribal community in the first place. It empowers the glue that is 37. It's all pretty fantastic stuff, and it's all because those I Ching guys 5,400 years ago basically started writing down 64 ways of the modern man.
Yes. Say that again. How long ago was the I Ching?
It's up for debate, somewhere between 5,000 and 5,400 years ago, somewhere in the hills of northern China. I assume it was Tibetan people. They came up with these 64 ways of the modern man, these 64 ways of humanity. And they're like, well, we need a counting system. Let's go to 64. Now we need a way to resemble that counting system. Let's come up with these hexagrams. And we need a way to differentiate the hexagrams. So let's make them have yin and yang lines. And when you put those three factors together, you stop at 64. There's no more combinations. And that's why when someone looked at this real close and they realized, oh my God, those hexagrams are an exact replica of our genetic codon structure on this planet. I mean, there's an exact, they wrote out our genetic code back 5,400 years ago.
I was waiting to see if you were going to touch base on that. Otherwise, I was going to ask you to do that.
Yep. So, but those were all words, and they had it in a block, just a big block of 1 through 64. They didn't know to fan it out around a wheel, call it our trajectory around the sun so that we could measure our imprinting, and then arrange these hexagrams from counterclockwise according to our genetic base pair. That's why this thing is truly sewing. It's not just figuratively sewing up our genome, it's literally sewing it. If you look at gate 1 real quick, and this should sort of end this part of it, go back to gate 1 because that's where we were before.
Right here and right here.
Gate 1, yep. Notice the bottom 2 lines of this hexagram are double lines. There's yang lines, 2 solid lines. If you count 16 of those all the way through to gate 19, counting counterclockwise, you don't even have to count them. Just go to gate 19 around the wheel.
To find 19.
We'll go around the wheel to the left until you get to 19. It's 16 hexagrams away.
Okay.
There it is.
Wait,
It's
wait. Can you repeat that? How did you get 16?
well, because there's 16. One, if you count them, 1, 2,
Okay, okay.
16 hexagrams are there. Notice all 16 of those hexagrams have 2 yang lines at their foundation.
How are we determining the yang lines?
Because that's how we were instructed to fan out the hexagrams around a circle to
The
please
long,
coordinate them according to the bottom 2 lines.
so the longer lines are
Yang,
yang,
and the
and
broken lines are yin.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are a yin and a yang. We always have been a yin and a yang.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Please. Yeah.
So if a line, this is the, okay, let me make sure I phrase this correctly. This genome right here,
Mm-hmm.
is it more masculine than feminine because it has more
Absolutely.
masculine?
Absolutely it is. It doesn't
So-
mean it gets expressed masculinely because it's got a yin line in there. But yes, in appearance, this hexagram has more masculine feature than it does feminine feature.
So I believe that you have to have the balance of the feminine and the masculine, and in that middle is where you are really connected with the divine.
All day
So
long.
based on this information, pulling someone's human design, we can tell whether they are more masculine or feminine and also help them find balance.
Literally, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And now masculine and feminine, these are overarching keynotes. They would be so broad, they'd be out at the edges. And then we would read in to get to that person, right, to their specific differentiation. Whatever is their feminine side may not be peeking out much at all, even if the hexagrams they have show more yin lines than yang lines. We don't know. It's a holistic approach.
I'm actually looking at the timer and it's 1:11 here in Houston.
Oh my God.
Yes.
So we're almost at our hour, aren't we?
Well, yeah, but the only reason I mentioned that was because I just mentioned the divine.
111.
3 is the Trinity.
Well, we're at a divine moment because we're about to sew together what all of that is. If those bottom 2 lines are yang, pick up at gate 13 and you see suddenly it's a yang and a yin. Now for the next 16 hexagrams, those base pair are a yang and a yin. And when you get to gate number 2, going counterclockwise, it's down in the bottom left.
Right here.
Yep. Look at that. 2 yin lines at the bottom. And look at gate 2. It's totally opposite gate 1. That's how this wheel was set up. It's these, every hexagram has its opposition, which is an exact mirror of it. When you set up the bottom 2 lines and you fan them out around a circle and create every one a mirror to the other, there's only one way this wheel lines up. And it turns out to be, it lines up according to our genetic base pair. We have 4 base pair of genome that constantly make us up. Everything is built upon 4 base pair. We know this. You can look it up, Google it. And when you arrange these hexagrams according to those base pair, shazam, you get how we're being sewn up. Every year we'll have a crisis. Every year we'll have listening. Every year we'll have universal love. What's the date now? I forget where we are right now.
It is 2/20/2022.
So let's see. So what hexagram are we in right now? I believe after, let's see. So December, March. So we're heading into, where's gate 60 on here?
I am looking.
Yeah, I got it. It's up top left. So we're probably in gate 41 or 19 right now. So we can count on a hunger to lead us to the approach of something new. Humanity is.
But we're not seeing that play out in the collective at all.
Yeah, the hunger's for the human experiential way, and the hunger is in the circuitry that is the collective circuitry. So that hunger must be shared. Humanity is sharing its hunger to approach a new beginning.
Wow.
We can't help. So the whole planet's doing that. No, I'm not a mystic. I'm a mechanic. The whole planet's just doing that. we can let the mystics determine more language for that and help brighten that up. That would be great.
Definitely.
Please.
But this is literally breaking it down.
Yeah.
Science. This is demystifying human design.
In a few days, we're going to move into gate 13. Gate 13 says, I remember. It's the memory. It's the prodigal. And soon we're all going to be reflecting backwards on where we've come, what we approached after our hunger broke through its limitation. Gate 60, right before 41, is where we were last week. So we were limited. Boom, trucker strike. We're less than limited. We broke through our limitation. Hunger for new. Okay, trucker strike stayed there. They're hungry. They've got a desire to share. I thought they would be broken up, but knowing these gates were in the sky, conditioning us, it's not such a big surprise. They were hungry to share their commitment to a tribal resource that would keep the tribe together. Gate 19, very tribal. So they're hungry to display the support of one another in a tribal structure.
And they have.
And they've stayed there with drums, no less, doing what tribes do, chanting and singing and communing.
Yep.
And sharing spit droplets that don't do anything. Fucking liars. Sorry for the F-bomb.
Don't worry, I cuss away.
So
not suitable for children.
Yeah, no, it's all right. This can be a learning tool for children. Just we'll bleep that out. So gate 13, we're on approach to that. 19 approaches gate 13, and gate 13 is in the collective abstract circuitry, which just wants to share the memory of what happened and keep the history. It wants to go through and share the experience of what it all. So at some point over the next week at most, we'll be entering gate 13, and suddenly I should really have this dialed up on my thing. I don't. So I give you the exact day that we go into gate 13. And as we go into that gate 13, that desire to share the memory of what it was will come out. And suddenly we'll all be looking backwards on what did all of this mean to us as we launch into what's the quarter of initiation. We're about to initiate something new.
So I know we are coming up on the hour. There are a couple questions that are coming in that I would like to ask. Do you want to? Okay.
Want to go back to full screen, or you want to stay on the picture?
Actually, let's go. I think let's go full screen.
Okay.
So, because you really have triggered. You've impacted some things today. So up here, it's like, boom. We touched prior, I think yesterday, because me and Danny text, about how the other side knows this information, fully self-aware. So we brought up the trucker thing and everything that's going on and what's going to be happening and going through it. With the other side knowing it, resisting that information, what happens to the genodes then? When that's when their aura designs really come into effect?
That's when our shadow side is just coming out, desiring to keep the old seven-centered way alive, which was hierarchical and in control. That's it. It's a one playbook, rule book. That's all they know. It's wicked boring, and we know it. But the thing is, last night when I texted you, it came through. I was like, you know what? The other side knows enough of this stuff to use it against people. There's fears in a body graph, for instance, natural fears that we all have. And if you know the design of a leader, I could tell you what they're afraid of. I have Bill Clinton's design. I can't pull it up now, but I should send you some of these things, and we could look through some of the famous leaders of the past. We could see what they were trying to do. It would be we could look up any personality, and I can tell you what's up with them. You want to know why Neil Young bounced on Spotify? Well, let's pull up his chart. I'll tell you what was going on with the guy. Or why Joe Rogan stayed. If I have his information, I can tell you what's going on with Joe.
Yes, definitely. We will definitely dive into that. The reason I'm bringing it up is because one, it is coming through, because I'm feeling a lot of, today actually marks the Pluto return of America.
Yes.
And Pluto is the revealer. Okay, so it's here to shake those things up. It's here to bring, it's the planet of personal transformation. It's bringing up a lot of this information, and just by what we just said, especially with the trucker, and how we're moving through this thing, it's kind of like all in alignment. And
You want to know the keynote for Pluto in design?
no,
It's
what? Yeah,
one word. It's truth.
yes, yes,
It's truth. But Pluto represents our truth.
yep. And
So
that's
here
what.
we are in our return, and we're about to come to the truth of our nation. We're on approach through gate 19 to remember what the truth of our nation is. We're going to be doing that now on our Pluto return as a nation. Look at that.
Yep.
Choicelessly, by the way.
Exactly. So here's another scientific example of how all of this is impacting us as an individual, guys. And how according to our human design, we are reacting, we are playing a part, sewing this big
human pie.
I know quilt is what came to mind.
Yep.
I know, I don't know, here in Texas, they have quilt shows, and quilts are artistic. There's stories even written in a quilt. And that's exactly what is being
We're
sewn
being quilted.
right.
Absolutely. We're sewing up our tapestry, our quilt. You're absolutely right, Jen. My fear on the other side, my concern is that they don't know enough to be awake as individuals themselves. If they did, they would stop trying to do this. My guess is that just like all the other surface scum that they tend to be, that they would be literally just using the surface of this information. What's my enemy afraid of? They use it on humanity all the time. What's humanity afraid of? And then they play to it. I'm concerned they have this information and they're playing to it from a fairly dark place.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't
doubt it.
Wouldn't doubt it.
Yep. So we need us on the other side shining light on all of that.
This is literally for me because it makes sense. I can see it there, in my mind's eye. It is like the Matrix. This is exactly, if you see the movie The Matrix, this is the architect, so to say.
Yep.
And they know, you can't tell me that they don't. They know every single person. They know who is here to serve a greater impact. They know, just like you said, your fears. And I would not put it past them that people who are like the big leaders or who are here to serve a bigger impact, that they have put those fears or put them in a situation to keep them like in an incubator, like in a cage, so to say. Because if they are putting other people to affect that human design, it's going to keep them distracted
away from the nature.
Yes, so that they cannot grow into who they truly are. And man, I'm like having so many downloads.
And our helplessness, but to be in this matrix. So, I mean, because we can't stop the movement of ourselves around the sun. We're helpless in that. It's one of our limitations. Jennifer, hold the planet up for a few minutes. I'd like a different imprinting. No can do. So because of that helplessness, we are being sewn up like a tapestry, like a quilt, like you said. And that's what the matrix, that's the archetype of the matrix was. All the people in it were helpless, but to live it out until someone broke through. And when they broke through, you found out on the other side of the matrix, they weren't really helpless at all. They were alive, living beings that can choose to be differentiated as themselves. If you put all that fear into things because they happen to know what the fear of the planets are, and they can realize, oh, let me take their truth away and insert fear instead, suddenly they're disrupting the genome of each human being. The generators stop responding. They start trying to initiate. The manifestors don't concern themselves about their impact anymore and impact wildly. And the projectors, they get bitter at what the hell isn't working. And suddenly they start trying to act like generators and manifestors. And they're totally taken away from their nature and on and on. So, and the reflector is just disappointed and their energy is no longer them. So it's just to grow at an overall large scale view. They don't even need to know that much. Just make them be afraid. They'll disorganize and not be able to be themselves.
Yes.
It's
Detaching us
worked.
from who we truly are,
Yeah, yeah. Screw them.
from our higher self.
Let's wake them up, baby.
Oh my God, this
They
was
don't
an
want this.
excellent
This show is
show.
like, dude, we're now marked. We're marked. We're targets.
Oh yeah, but
Well,
you know what, guys? Me
we don't
and
care.
Danny have already, just like I told them yesterday, they're missing the memo. The memo is, in the end, God wins.
Yeah.
So we are doing exactly what we came here to do, and we are going to impact.
On a very uplifting note, the reason that they won't succeed overall is because our genome won't let them. We are here to be uniquely differentiated beings. There will be nothing but strife. The more they try to conglomerate us into a homogenized way, it destroys the human spirit. And so we may exist destroyed for a little bit as we go through this change, but they can't win in the end. In the end, they cannot win. The genome won't let them. Their own children will revolt against them sooner or later as it comes up more and more and more. Even if they've been totally conditioned, sooner or later, the genome wins.
I'm seeing it's just like the thing behind me, Metatron's cube, the cells. I'm seeing what the cells are doing.
You should be. That's what they're doing. We're talking to the cells right
now. I know. It's amazing that I'm actually seeing this in the moment. Like, wow.
It's amazing, Jen. And on that note, I think we've got a good spot.
I think we do.
We don't have a choice but to be victorious ultimately, because it's in our genetic way. We must express our unique individuality to become whole, period. We must.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a wonderful note to wrap up this show. Guys, the more we get into, this was part 2, so tune in definitely next week, Sundays. It's 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Please check your time zone. If you don't know what it is, you can always Google it. I'm in Central, so it's always on noon. And make sure you subscribe to the podcast. If you missed part 1, it will definitely be linked below, and then I'll probably have it pop up here on YouTube if you're viewing it on YouTube. I know Danny was talking to someone about getting this podcast more up on a station, so that I believe is being in the works. And make sure you follow me, follow Danny. Also, Danny, do you want to tell them how they can contact you to get a free reading so that you can really start to help them understand who they are on an individual basis, as well as your children too?
Right now, I read for free for people because I have enough of my own money. I'm out here doing what everyone else who has enough of their own money is doing for like the truckers and everything else. We're using it. So I read for free. It's not totally free. I need a testimonial at the end. So it's a deal. I'll make a deal with you. I'll start reading for you and I'll give you me because I love you, and you'll get you in return for just looking into a camera. Jen will even help you do it. You would volunteer. You call Jen, she'll open up this little thing and you'll just say what your experience was like. We're looking to collect the human experience of these experiences.
3 minutes, guys. He will give you an hour and a half of his time just for you to give your 3 minutes.
And it doesn't even have to go 3 minutes. Just give your reaction. There's no rule on it. But there's no substitute for the human reaction that will come out. Words are good and they're sweet, but a voice on a recording is better. The best is a video where we can see the human reacting to it. You're going to give us your truth, and it's important for others to see that.
And I can definitely help arrange that, guys. If you are camera shy or whatever, we can help you out with that, please. But he is exactly right. And coming from a business standpoint, we love y'all's testimonies. We love to hear the feedback. And I think because we are taking this human design as being demystifying, it also helps us, you know, build this database so that we as humans know who we are at a better level and how we can not only help our each other but our children, and really start to shift out of this matrix, that this false matrix, I'll
Yeah,
say false matrix, that we have been put under by people who know how to manipulate who we are and our human design. This is not
yeah.
what we were created to do on a subatomic level.
At
So,
all. Let's get out of the old seven-centered strategic cooperative way and turn into the cooperative communal way of the nine-centered being. That's who we are. We're here to commune. We're here to commune.
absolutely. So please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow the video. Tune in. Also, there's going to be a link down below where you can sign up to pop on Zoom with us, because we would like to open this up for calls and questions that you may have. So make sure that you join the Zoom link. And when you do that, you register, you'll get emails every Sunday, so you don't miss an episode. You won't be live like we are. We'll do all chats through the chatting, and then also probably a live call-in show. I can definitely do that just by the number. So
Yep. Sounds good to
we
me.
all right, we would love to have you on. With that said, thanks, guys. We will talk to you next Sunday.
Onward and upward, guys.